Hey, hey, ho, Thursday again. Let's see, I did this from Houston last week, so can't say back in Houston. Sorry about that. I had to adjust some wires, but there we are. Let me know, can you hear me? I've been screwing around with audio for the last 15 minutes. Hello, sock puppets, interpretive dance. Okay, thank you, Patricia. Hey, everybody. Well, then, it is Thursday. Let's call it better than ever. It could be, because a totally different microphone. This one is just for show tonight. It is Thursday night, and this is ADRAMADA, another Dave Rush Ask Me Anything, digital alchemy. Come for the shirt. Stay for the news and the projects, or interviews, or whatever we're doing. I am David Rush, your tech from Texas, also known by my own hand as the Commodore ADRAMADA, making you the proud ADRAMADA Armada. I love that. I'm going to drop it one of these days. I'll forget it. If it wasn't on my notes, I'd forget it. But hey, so we're here because we love tech. That's it. We just get together. We shoot the breeze about tech. I got a lot of stuff to cover tonight, so I'm not going to do all this opening hubbledy-boo. Other than to mention, today is Thursday, April 4th. If you happen to be watching this on the archive, it is 7 p.m. Central, whatever time we're. I don't know if we're. I never know if we're on savings time or standard time. It's. I did some checking on interesting things that happen. You know, sometimes there's nothing that I find interesting enough to share with you. I found a handful that were very shareable today. So. On this date, April 4th, in 1789, which is also the year of the French Revolution, the first U.S. Congress begins regular sessions during George Washington's presidency at Federal Hall, New York City, which ended 2 years later. Okay, ready? This is going to be bad. Early morning, April 4th, a shot rings out in the Memphis sky. Sorry about that. Apologies to Bono and you two. However, it was kind of early morning, April 4th in Memphis, 1968. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated by James Earl Ray at 6:05 p.m. local time. However, early morning Bono time, he was in, I presume he was in Ireland at the time, or that was when the news made it. So it would have been just after midnight on April 4th for them. April 5th? I don't know. Either way, early morning April 4th is subjective. On April 4th in 1975, Microsoft was founded as a partnership between Bill Gates and Paul Allen, specifically to develop and sell basic interpreters for the Altair 8800. And on this date, if you're into political science fiction, Winston Smith from Orwell's novel, 1984, that was when Winston began his secret diary in defiance of the totalitarian government of Oceania. So that's that. Eep, op, ork, ah, ah. Let's see. ADRAMADA's got a Discord home. I need to get that out there today, because if you want to do follow along with today's lab, most of you who are here watching live are already members of that. But if you're not and you want to do a follow along with today's project, join the Discord server. Go to the announcements channel on March 13th. 2 weeks ago I posted this. There's a bash script. Just download that bash script, look it over, make sure you're not worried that I infected it with some kind of backdoor or whatever. And then I will describe to you how and where to use that to set up all of the files that you need to do today's show. So join the Discord server. If you want to get in touch with me in any other ways, email. I'm always on the Discord server. You can always DM me. Here's some email addresses for you, and I am now on X and on Mastodon, and that's my info for that. Check the chat channel. This coming Monday is a total eclipse from the U.S. Southwest up to the U.S. Northeast, up to about Buffalo, and it looks like it's going to be almost a total bust. It looks like that whole area, the path of totality, is going to be cloudy and rainy. So we're going to make our travel decision tomorrow, but right now I'm feeling very pessimistic about the whole prospect. It's a heartache. I heard that song just today. I'm embarrassed. So last week we met Laura Tate, owner and operator of PC Wizard. She shared her experience in starting and running a PC support business and how she got her experience. And great guest, excellent information, excellent insights. She is Laura, without any other labels, on the Discord server. She's been very active long before we interviewed her, and saw her and Patricia talking it up today, and they do so regularly. So thanks again, Laura, if you're watching. Really enjoyed having you on the show. This week's show, today, we are going to explore globbing, which is tools used with search commands like the ls command or like the dir command in Windows to limit the output of files that we see. If you do dir, you're going to see every file in a directory. If you do dir/s, you're going to see every file in and under that directory and other directories. But we can add limiting things. It's something like dir a asterisk. Now I will only see the files that start with the letter A and have anything after it. Dir a question mark. That's it. Dir a question mark. That will show me 2-character files that start with the letter A and only have 1 character following that. Unlike star, which would include 2 characters and 3 characters and 500 characters. All right, that's everything there is to know about Windows globbing. We will glob in Linux, which has so much more. This week, the missus and I went and had a date night. We don't get much of those. Time's been busy. But we saw Ghostbusters. It's not their best. It was way better than their worst, to be sure. We enjoyed it. I'd see it again. What I was particularly excited about in walking away was a couple of the trailers. 2 of them in particular. I love Minions movies. Despicable Me movies. So, new one coming up in short order. What's the other animated one that struck us?
Borderlands.
Yeah, but that wasn't animated. I've got that on my list. Ooh. Oh, well, it'll come to us. The other one, Borderlands, the movie. You know, there's never been a hit movie based on a game. If there's going to be one, this is going to be the first, based on the trailer. They've got the look and feel right. The characters and the bad guys look good. I'm very excited about this whenever it comes out, June or something. Tech News of the Week, trivia. In Terminator 3, when Skynet was activated, this is trivia I read today, I take this on faith. One of the lab personnel stated, Skynet is operating at 60 teraflops, which when Terminator 3 came out must have been massive, because today it is approximately the power of a pair of GTX 3090s. All right, let's see who's here and what you're doing and what you're talking about. Oh, goodness, here comes everybody. Tullowit in way early as ever and always. Shia, thank you. Pink Hands, an hour before show. Patricia Grace, 40 minutes before that. Globbing for everyone. Let's glob. There you go. Shia's got range. Shia knows that there are ranges when we glob, and you put ranges in square brackets. And of course, Linux being case sensitive, she's done all the files that start with lowercase a through lower z and upper A through upper z. So we'll get into that. Right, patterns. All files that start with pat, and this is a list. Follow up with either earn or ed. Pated. I'm sorry, pattern or patterned. Right, the alternative. And then still, we're not even to showtime yet. You guys are digging into it. Tell it half an hour before showtime. So good evening all. And there was me at 4 minutes before go. Howdy, Jason Helms is here. What's up? You can hear loud and clear. Ooh, we made a rhyme. Thanks, guys. Sending smoke signals. I was starting to worry about doing interpretive dance. I watched a webinar yesterday on a topic I was very interested in from a company that's very impressive. God, it was scheduled to be an hour and 20. Thank goodness it didn't make it that long. It was not good. It was this close to unwatchable, and I was nodding off, and it wasn't because I was tired. He was killing me. I learned a little bit, but neighbor dogs are barking. CW, continuous wave. I can do CW all day. Da 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 da. Best bent wire /G. One of the training exercises we used to give when we taught Morse code. I was going to say I hear a wolf howling outside. We've got a mower outside, not me. All right, those are all me. Bonnie Tyler is stoked, and no worries. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to do two things today, see if I can do this in a timely fashion. It's only 10 after, and I went buzzing through things pretty quickly. So I went down a rabbit hole the other day, and the results that I found I thought were worthy of sharing. And so let's do this. I'm going to give you a list of 19 things here. It'll take less than a minute apiece, probably about 10 seconds apiece. We all know that there are products in the world whose names, whose trademark and copyright names have come to represent all of the products in that spectrum, right? So Kleenex, right? It's a word that's a trademark word, and then if we say it, we know we mean a tissue, right? Could be all kinds of tissues, but and the Kleenex people or whoever the headquarters family that doesn't love that. And the same goes for some of the other very popular examples. Well, first of all, I have learned that there is a term for that. It's called a proprietary eponym or eponym. A brand name that is so synonymous with a generic item that it basically becomes the defining word for that item. And so Kleenex, very popular example. Xerox is a popular example. Xerox this for me, right? They mean copy. Velcro is a trademark name for hook and loop or hook and loop tape. So I went down that rabbit hole to find more modern ones than those ones we all know. I have 19 of them. They're quick and painless, and some of them I'll give you a little bit of history. Dumpster, trademark name, generic name, trash bin. And it was trademarked from 1936 to 2008 by the Dempster brothers, and they created the Dempster dumpster. All right, I'm going to go the other way around right now. The generic name, table tennis. What's the trademark name? Go ahead and try and type this in. We'll make this something of a contest. Anybody got it? Yeah, Hefty. Yeah. Hefty's not a bad example. All right. The trademark name for table tennis. I think I'm probably so far behind you on this screen. Let me update this screen. Stand by. Zip. Then I'll only be about 7 seconds behind you. Oh, I've gone invisible. I can't see myself. Okay. Oh, that came up quick. All right. Well, it didn't look like it appeared. Ping pong. Ping pong is actually a trademark name that's owned by Escalade Sports. And they license it to anybody who wants to refer to it, to table tennis. Okay, how about polystyrene foam? What is the trademark name for that? And I'll give you a hint. Dow Chemical owns it. Been around for a long time. It is styrofoam. You're going to love this one. The generic name for this one, there you go. Tell I got it. The generic name is the Rebound Tumbler. I'll hold it for 10 seconds. A young gymnast named George Nissen came up with the idea of a tumbling device that he later trademarked with a particular name. He came up with the term from a Spanish word that means diving board. Anybody know what a rebound tumbler is when it's not generic? How about a trampoline? Trampoline, in Spanish, according to George Nissen, is diving board. Tellwood nails it again. Vacuum flask, that's an easy one. Thermos. King Sealy Thermos Company tried to protect it, and court ruled in 1963 that by 1923 the word thermos had acquired firm roots as a descriptive or generic word. Okay, Hoover. Right, Hoover's a good example. Food storage container. That's right, Hoover is a verb in Great Britain. Where do we go here? Food storage device. Tupperware. Trademarked since 1955. Dart Industries. A self-service laundry. You got the same list I'm working? No, Patricia Grace got that one. Okay, well done. A self-service laundry. I'm going to go to the Tupperware. That's me, man. Oh, here, while I'm doing this. Right, Scotch tape, sellotape, those are both. Here, let me turn around and see if I can get this on camera for a second. So this is a shirt that I got from a conference I went to. Oh, you can barely see that. I'll try that again. Stay low and get down here and see if you can catch that. It's from the nice guys at Microsoft. They gave me a Microsoft Azure shirt. Okay, yeah, there it is, laundromat. Both of you got it. Everybody knows petroleum jelly. I'll let you put that in. Trademarked by, I love this guy's name, Robert Cheesebro, the founder of the brand. It's named after the German word for water, Wasser, and the Greek word for oil, oleon. Yep. Everybody knows hot tubs and jacuzzis. Personal watercraft. Generic name for what trademarked name? We're on number 10, if not out of 19. And this next one you won't be able to believe. Personal watercraft, jet ski. Trademark of Kawasaki. There you go, Patricia Grace. Thank you. The trademark name for bubble cushioning. I'm stunned that they were able to trademark this. Company called Sealed Air Corporation owns the trademark name for what is generically known as bubble cushioning. I'll give you a hint. It starts with bubble. There you go. Yep, bubble wrap. An infant bodysuit. Generic name for, I'll give this one away, everybody will get it anyways, a onesie. Gerber owns the trademark for the word onesie. And they have specific name usage terms on their website. You're not supposed to know that. You have no infants, Tullowit. You may have had infants. I don't know. Moving staircase. Otis Elevator owns the term escalator. Cuisinart. That's right. Excellent example. Electric shock device. It doesn't say who owns this. Oh. Yeah, it said taser. You know, I find myself mature and level-headed, but when the bubble wrap comes out, I turn into a kid. We all do. A voting machine. Yep, there was taser. Slow cooker, generic name. What's the trademark name? It's owned by Sunbeam. And while you're thinking about that one, I'll give you the next one. The generic name is Glass Wool. Everybody will know that one. There you go, Crockpot. Glass Wool, the trademark for the real name is owned by Owens Corning, who came up with the product in the early 1900s. Number 17 out of 19. Fiberglass. Whole grain cereal. Generic name for Kellogg owns this one. He was trying to replicate a healthy breakfast named Granula, developed by some vegetarian who hated traditional breakfasts, and created granola in 1863. Number 18. Generic name, you'll never get this one without context. A queuing device. A queuing device. I'll give you a hint. I'm on camera and I use notes, but they're mostly just notes. Our good friend Scarhart, you have to break his arm to get him to speak extemporaneously on camera. He has a queuing device that he's looking into in front of the lens and reading it word for word. Yeah, I can see why you might call it a Rolodex. But now I've given you the context. If I tell you the name of the company who owns it, and they are from the UK, by the way, the name of the company, there you go. That's the same name as the company as well, teleprompter. And the last but not least, I love the generic name for this thing, the foot bag. John Stahlberger and Mike Marshall credited with the invention of this game. I don't want to give you the name of the game. Somebody's going to come in here. Whammo owns the trademark since 1983. And the name of the game that they created for the foot bag, there you go, was called Hacking the Sack. And later trademarked the product, Hacky Sack. Twister! Arrgh. All right, that was fun. News. Let's see. So, March 29th, the day after last week's show, the XZ utilities, which are Linux file compression utilities used directly and indirectly by a whole bunch of utilities. Hey, I got a... Oh, that's weird. I didn't do a slide for that. Standing by, checking something out. Okay. I didn't do a slide for this. Anyways, XZ was found to have been hacked upstream in what is called a supply chain attack. That means somebody within the group of producers, the developer in this instance, some developer who got their hands on the code for the popular Z utilities, the XZ, the LZs, all that stuff, injected a very sophisticated backdoor into one of the library files that are part of the XZ compression utilities. And those utilities are important. They're used in all kinds of things, from System D, which I'll talk about in a little bit, SSH and SSHD. And the supply chain source was Fedora. So in the Fedora repository, two versions, 5.6.0 and 5.6.1, one of these XZ libraries was infected with this incredibly sophisticated and powerful hack. So if you're using a utility that uses any of those libraries, you can be backdoored into. So who found it? A Microsoft employee who was doing some developing on SQL Server, and he's running his system, and he sees, to his surprise, some resources getting gobbled up that are never gobbled up in these kinds of things, the stuff he does. And so he looked further into it and said, holy Hannah, this XZ library is doing it. And he called whoever was providing his resource or whatever, and Red Hat, who owns Fedora, they put the word out immediately, stop using or running any of the experimental, unstable versions of Fedora, and check the version that you have, which is a really easy thing to do. If you want to check your version, just in Linux, open up the command line and type in XV, lowercase, space, minus, capital V for version, and that'll tell you what version of XZ you're running and what version of the library LX. I got it somewhere here in my notes. I'll run into it. And if you have it, downgrade. So no versions of Red Hat or derivatives were affected except for the non-stable versions, the nightlies, the betas call them. In fact, there was only a very small handful of distros that adopt this stuff the second it comes out and puts it in their stable versions. None of my Raspberry Pi versions, none of the versions that I'm running here in-house were affected. What was affected? There was a Debian, a non-stable Debian release, unreleased Ubuntu. However, that was a very close to release, so they've delayed the release, and they're recompiling with an older version, and they'll release it a couple of days later after they do some testing. So Ubuntu, Fedora, Kali, and OpenSUSE, those are the only distros that we know of that incorporated those bad revs right off the bat. All right, let's go look at some slides, because I like slides. Okay, here's my headline, the way I wrote it. HDMI Forum rejects AMD's open source kernel driver. So AMD has been working with the HDMI Forum on a kernel driver for some HDMI modes that aren't working well. And they've been working for quite some time on this, and they finally have working code. And so they went to the powers that be at the HDMI Forum, that's the official name of the agency that governs the standard for HDMI, and said, hey, we got working code, we want to release it open source. Nah! So it totally turned them down. So AMD's upset. They've posted some quiet pot shots in the world. The rest of the world is jumping up and down on the HDMI Forum. I haven't joined that cacophony yet, but I will. Let's see. This is yeah, okay. So sad day for open source GPU drivers. No apparent solution in sight. So come on, DisplayPort. Let's see. What was this inside? This 8:30 last night. Adding insult to injury is, it sounds like AMG spent months on prototyping. Yeah, okay, we got that. Next slide. Our government doesn't have enough on its plate. The White House announced on Tuesday that it is directing NASA to create a unified time standard for the moon and other celestial bodies as governments and private companies increasingly compete in space. I have nothing to add to that. Do with it what you will. Think of it what you will. I didn't put the pictures up for this. I'll give them to you next week. I spent the other day, Tuesday, down in Webster League City with my buddy Doug. And, oh, man, we had such a wonderful time. I had a nice lunch with him. And then I went to the neutral buoyancy lab, right? The big pool that you see astronauts practice for weightless things. They have a sunken ISS basically in there. And they can move different modules in and out as astronauts need to practice with those modules. So I spent some time there. And then I spent some time in his offices getting the grand tour. Wow. No pictures allowed inside. I did get to touch a lot more space-flown stuff, and we're going to bring him on. Okay, the stuff that he talked about with you and me on a previous show is good stuff. He can extend and expound on that so much more. I spent hours down there and still bouncing off the walls. It was good stuff. All right, next slide. FW, which is firmware, UPD update. This is a piece of software in the Linux world that's used, are you ready, to update firmware within the computer it's running, external computers, devices in the computer, devices attached to the computer or the network. That's cool, right? We don't do that in Windows. If you want to update any firmware, you're going to need the BIOS setup program in your computer to do that. And then if you want to update, I don't know, your router firmware, you download it into a client, you access the updater program environment for the device you want to update, and then you send the file over there as an update, and it's different for every different thing. So FW Update is an effort to put all those kinds of things under a single operational thing. And they work. They've been running for a very long time. Well, amazingly, right after the debacle of the XZ backdoor hack, the maintainer of FWPD announced that they are switching their compression utility environment from XZ to Z standard, ZSTD, which has been in the works for some time, but this was kind of an opportune moment for them to make that announcement. And I mention this not because their decision and their announcement is so important in isolation, but because there's a lot of people who are freaking out about what happened with XZ, and it sort of opened their eyes and all of our eyes to, man, if this can happen in the supply chain and potentially have such a massive impact, if it wasn't accidentally caught, my goodness, the vulnerabilities all over the world in the next year would have been ginormous. So these guys are the first one to make the news that said, hey, we're making that switch. There are other people who've made the switch before that. Did I make the notes in here? Yeah, Pac-Man, the Pac-Man package manager, like apt and like DNF and Snap. All of those are package managers. Well, the Pac-Man package manager switched from XZ back in 2020 to use Z standard. Z standard is a little bit more compactor than what XZ can do. Not that much, about 3%, but it decompacts and uncompacts much faster, and it is trustworthy right now. There is little trust, amongst XD users right now, even though they've all been solved. And last slide for the news. Related, the XC incident has far-ranging impact, and System D is one of the systems that's impacted. System D runs in a lot of Linux distros, and it is the system manager and the services manager core of many distros. Some distros have walked away from it, but this has kind of sparked a discussion, a debate amongst System D users, because critics of System D, and it's a good working system, but critics have become concerned over the years that it suffers mission creep and it's becoming bloated. And one of those bloats is they keep adding features and functions to it. And the way they do this is not by changing the core code of System D, but by connecting it to libraries. Libraries such as the compromised library from the XZ debacle. And so this has the discussion saying it's time for us to review System D, pare it back down, stop expanding it the way we've been doing it, and just have known, good, easy to manage, reliable, safe, secure libraries. And again, I mention this because if this happens in System D, and I have no doubt that it will, it's going to take a long time to pull this off because System D is so big and so complicated and so embedded into so many systems. If and as they begin to recode that, will it be backward compatible? If not, programs and services and operating system cores are going to have to be adjusted to work with the fixed System D. And this is a conversation I think that we're going to see in a lot of Linux stuff. I think this XZ problem was such an eye-opener for so many pieces of the Linux cosmos that we're going to see a lot of reconstruction going on. All right, that's that. Where are we at on time here? 34, just right. I'll check and see who's doing what, and then we will dive into our project. Oh, I've had this thing sitting on I had this article in my template that I've had in there for 6-7 months. What the heck? Not to worry, I can fix this. But something is amiss. All my project notes are gone. But there we go. I got them here. I can run at it from this. And so, yeah, let's do this with putty. And what machine shall we do this on? That one. Okay, putty, P-U-T-T-Y. You drop out of that system. Hang on. I have a mission critical message here that's popped up on the back channel. I must see. I would drop out of that system, V screen, and back in the head. Oh, okay. And you did right as I said. Okay, right as I said that. Thank you, sir. I need a director. I need somebody standing in front of me here. But Scarheart is my director in every other way, and I do appreciate that kind of help, Scott. Thank you so much. All right, I was about to do putty here. Putty to, let's see, me, D-Rush. At this machine, fh.local. Oh. Yeah, come on. Thank you, sir. Hope you got that email I sent you yesterday, Scott. Host doesn't exist. I typoed something. Sorry, guys. Poor prep on my part. I was in such a panic about the audio problem I was having here. Oh, okay, that's why. D-Rush. FNH local. There we go. And then we put the password in. There, did you hear how many keystrokes was by the number of clicks? Yeah! Oh man! So stoked about the Borderlands movie. I hope it's as good as the trailer. Alright, we shrink this, we share this, and yeah, we can do this. This looks imminently doable. Let's move this thing over here a little bit. There we go. Now I won't lose it. Alright, let me check these last messages before I share screen and start up with you. Oh, lots of good stuff happened here. Time to find who done it. You're exactly right. That's the one thing I haven't talked about. This should be traceable. And maybe if it is, they're not going to expose the murderer. I used to buy writers' magazines, and lots of the ads were companies with please to use the proper symbol or generic terms, apparently even fridge at one point was part of trademark name. Interesting. I'll bet that's a Westinghouse thing. Okay. Oh, please, I got it. Requests. And you can use the which utility. Oh, yeah, this works with all kinds of utilities. I just threw that out. Find. We're going to do it all with LS. So, late to the party, looking forward to the presentation. Here it comes. Webster and League City are south of Houston. Okay. Small little towns. Yeah, Webster is the home of NASA. And as you drive around Webster, you'll see lots of nondescript little buildings, office buildings and things like that look like any other, Joe's accounting shack. They're not. They're all NASA contractors down there. It's really something. I stopped in to see the Snodju guys there. I gave them a heads up that I was coming. Never got a response, but I just took it on faith that they were there. And they weren't, but there was somebody there who knew me, let me in, and I dropped off the retired Greek hats to Zach's desk. And I think I'm getting together with them tomorrow or early next week for some stuff. Just got Power Toys update notification for those. Very cool. Power Tools. Windows Power Tools. Okay. All right, Power Toys. Let's see. How do we share? We go like this. I got putty running, so I should be able to do that. Hey, look at that. Put my head in there. And look at that. We are logged in like nobody's business. So I created a little, do I have this in here? I haven't even played with this in a while. Glob. Make dir glob. CD glob. And then you know what I need is the glob file, or my glob shell, the same as you do. So give me 1 second here. Again, poor prep. Sorry about that, guys. Let's open up a command prompt, CMD, and we will run. Oh, you just make my life miserable, don't you? If I do that there, I will hate myself forever and always. Okay, that's a good machine to do this from. Open in terminal. Don't you open PowerShell. Of course you open PowerShell. I want command prompt. All right. All right, I'm going to run SCP in here. I'm going to send star.sh. Thank you. That's what I get for taking my hat off, huh? And I'm going to send that to drushtx at this machine, fnh local colon whack home whack drushtx whack glob. Okay, now we've done that. Now we can do the SCP, put in the password. Not a directory. Some days it's just not worth getting up, is it? I made glob. Okay, fine. We'll do it this way. I'll put it someplace else and then... Oh, that's why. There. Okay. All right, if you can see this here, I have just copied that bash file script here into my home directory on this Linux system. And I'm going to move that into that folder that I just created. Actually, I'm going to copy it in there so I can screw around with it later. So I'm going to copy star.sh. Nope. Glob star.sh. into glob. Okay. Oh, duh. That's CDCP. Okay, now I should have copy back into here. Okay, so now I have two files in here and I don't need this snap one, so I'm going to kill it. rm snap. Alright, so this is what I want you to start out. I want you to get the script file from the ADRAMADA Discord server, the announcements page from March 13th. Create a folder anywhere that makes you happy in your system called glob. Copy this file, this script file, into that folder, and then we have to make it executable. So I'm going to say chmod +x all the SH files in here. And there they are in pretty green right now, hey? So when we run this, dot whack globfiles.sh, okay, that all looks right. Some days it's just not worth it, is it? Made some of them, but where's those /r's coming from? All right, it made all of them. Oh, because they're not. Okay. We may just wind up doing this next week, but let me find something. Save, exit. Oh, nope, that's okay, that's okay. Got to go down to the end of my list here and do something. Oh, fine, let's do it this way. Make door. Copy. All right, that worked. Chmod plus x dot whack glob files. No such file or directory. Echo, that feeds the file. Those all create. You know, I have run this a dozen times in other systems. So, you're going to make me do it the hard way? Fine. I used to use a mainframe system where if you put two commands on different lines, that it automatically understood to execute them, and so for that reason you could do 50 lines or 100 lines or whatever made you happy. But so what I'm doing here, I'm using the touch command. Let's make this a lesson. When you touch a file, if it doesn't exist, it creates it. If it already exists, then it changes the last access time and date to the current time and date. All right, 4 more lines. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying echo these values. Yep, that's not it. Into a file called file.txt. So there goes 1810, 1901, 2012, and 2020. All right, my bash file should have done all that, but there we go. So there's all the files that are supposed to be in there. And we are ready to go. How are we doing on time? I have 10 minutes. I can do this in 10 minutes, actually. There's not a lot going on here. So I want you to know, let me put this in the chat field. I borrowed this project, this exercise from another site over at Linux TLDR. Their little lesson on globbing, and I've duplicated it as much as possible using their file names and their file contents and things like that. The interesting thing is they didn't document how to do all that setup first, so I had to reverse engineer the whole thing. But here we are. So glob means to group or subgroup the contents of a directory. Might be files, might be subdirectories, might be both. And in Windows, we only have two globbing tools, utilities. That's the asterisk. That means anything that starts here and goes to the end of the file and the end of the extension is fair game. So if I say dir a asterisk, that's all I got to do. That means anything that starts with A, and it doesn't matter what follows the A. Nothing, 1 character, 10 characters, 5 characters and a 1 character extension, 5 characters and 3 different extensions, all with dots. It's all fair game. The question mark is a single character placeholder. So in the example that I gave when we started the show, I might say dir question mark A. Let's make it a slightly different. That says I don't care what the first character is, but I only don't care about the first character. The second character has to be A, and there can't be anything else, right? Question mark A, you're looking for a 2-character file. Any first character, could be a number, could be a letter, could be certain special characters. Second letter's got or second character is an A, and of course it's Windows, so it doesn't matter if it's upper or lower case. But in Windows, very different animal. We'll use the ls command. And by the way, everything that I'm going to show you today can be done in the search window of Microsoft Windows Search Utility, the File Explorer, or in any of the most of the Linux utilities. I'll say all because I haven't tested them all, but I've certainly tested Nautilus, the most popular one out there, and a couple others, and they've all worked. So we're going to live in Linux for right now. There's 2 ways to get a listing of files for what we're going to do today. The one I just did, ls, just gives you the listing of the files in alphabetical order. And if we add the minus LA or AL, then we get a vertical listing with some more information. Just helps it appear more clear. All right, so if I just want to see all of the files that have the extension txt, I can do it the same way I would do it in Windows. ls star dot. So I don't care what happens before the dot, but after the dot, it's got to be a dead match. Yes, this works beautifully on Raspberry Pi. That's what I did with all of them. All right, so there's all the text files, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 files. Now, how many files are actually here? A lot more than 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, some more than 10. Let's try that same command, ls minus la star.txt. And there's the same 8 files, 10 files, whatever it is. How about the PHP files? Same command, and there, I don't see the PHP files with this. So we'll clear, and we'll ls minus la star.php. And there's 3 PHP files in here. All right. Now, how about I just want to see those page PHPs? I can do that. I can ls minus la page star. So anything that starts with page, and I don't care what comes after it, until you get to a dot, then everything from the dot beyond. And there we go. Page 1 could have been page 10, page 11, page 1000, page 100, .php. So this is what we filtered out index. We have globbed page 1.php and page 2.php. Now let's try it with the question mark. I want to find all of the 5-character PHP files. So ls 12345.php. Well, amazingly, all of the PHP files that we had in here happen to have 5-character names. But what if I'm thinking there was supposed to be one with 4 characters? And that's the one that I'm looking for. So I'll do that. Hey, find me 4 character names. Nope, can't help you. There are no 4 character .php files in here. So these are not wildcards in the sense that they say once they encounter it, anything hereafter is fair game. It's you got to have exactly this many characters that the question marks would cover as a single character wildcard. How about all the food files in here? Everything that starts with food. ls, let's split screen. ls food 1, 2, 3, 4 text files. There's one that's an exact match. But let's see something. Are there any food files that are 8 characters but aren't just TXTs? Yeah, there's a pair of them. So this first one, we forced it to say it's got to start with food, it's got to have exactly 4 characters after it, and it must have an extension of .txt. But if we open up the extensions and say, hey, any food files with 4 more characters in their name and any extension? Sure. So we can mix and match our 2 common wildcards, question marks and asterisk. Back in the day, in the old DOS days and early Windows command line, we used to say dir star dot star. Any file name, any extension. But today you can do it as dir star. All right, so let's get out of the realm of the stuff that Windows can do, and let's look at some of the more sophisticated things we can do in Linux. Square brackets allow you to put a list or range of characters in there. For instance, how about we say, oh, I don't know. Well, here, let me do some numbers here. Shia already kind of beat us to the punch. There's some very common ones that you might want to say, I want something, and these are single characters in here, that has an A capital through capital Z, or lower a through lower Z. How about I want them both? I want all of the cap A through cap Z. This is really kind of cool. You can say A-Z followed immediately by a lower A dash, whatever, A through F, A through Z. So it knows that a character after a dash says, okay, that's the end of a range, and anything that comes after that is a new range. So I might also add after this something like 3 through 9. That starts to look pretty cryptic, but once you do a couple of these, it's a pretty easy thing to do. So I want to find everything that starts with an I or an E. Now I'm not doing ranges, I'm doing individual characters. So I'm going to say ls square brackets I comma E, and I want it to start with that and have anything afterward. So I'll add an asterisk here. And he finds for me 2 files that start with I's, index.html and index.php. There are no files in this directory that start with E. Okay. How about a range? How about all the files that start with any letter between and including F and I? Yeah, pretty cool. Shameless promotion. I'm going to look at messages in a minute. I'm more than halfway done here. How about all the files that begin with page and have any number after them? And you got this one gets a little bit tricky because it looks really simple. So I'm going to say page, and then I'm going to say followed by 0 through 9. Again, recognize this is a single character that has to follow page now. So he's going to look for page 0, page 1, page 2, page whatever, and then anything after that. So there's a page 1 and a page 2, and those are my 2 PHP files. Index, of course, PHP didn't come up here, and I didn't have any text files that started with page. So if there was a page 11 in here, page 11.php, he wouldn't have found it because he's only looking for page and one character in the braces. How about, what do we got here? Five files. Okay, I've got some files in here that have single characters as a name. They're text files. So let's see. We'll use our old friend question mark here. Question mark dot text. Yeah. Oh, I didn't wind up creating them. That failed. Mustaches. 1 dot dot 4 dot. Are these supposed to be text files? Yeah. Okay, there they are. All right, so that same command here. Find me all the files in here that have a single character. I don't care what it is, and end with text. All right, so he finds that. That's cool. Let's say that there are some files that I don't want to see in the result. Maybe I'm sending these results to a, I don't know, some new kind of text file that I'm creating. List of, stop it, numbered files. I can't type tonight. .txt. I'm not going to hit the enter key on that. But instead of us seeing output 1.text, 2.3, and so forth, the output would be directed as the contents of this file that would just get created. But what I want to do is I want to see this same list, but I don't want to see a file that has the number 3 in it. In fact, I want to see all the text files except a text file that has a 3. So I'm going to ls, and I'm going to use my square braces again, not 3. And after that, dot text. Show me any file that has a text extension but isn't 3.text. There we go. 1, 2, and 4. Single character again, because I'm using square brackets. Show me all the files that have any name but don't end with a number 0 through 9. This one's kind of fun. Let's make this one an LA, be a little more illustrative. LA, and this time I'm going to say any file, but yeah, we're going to do not on this one, but doesn't end in 0 through 9. Single character. These should not have shown up. Oh, okay. Little typo there. There we go. So there are 2 text files in here that don't end with a number in their name. Just these 2. How many files exist in here that start with the word file? ls file star. So we can see what got skipped out of those. File 1, file 2, file 3, and file 4. Cool, almost done. All right, last thing I want to do is I want to use this stuff to look at the contents of a file. Usually we'll look at files, contents by using the grep utility. And I'll do that. But let's just take a look at a simple one here. We're going to say cat file.text. And that's the one that we put the 4 file numbers in. Now I can grep that thing. And when you use the square braces and an exclamation point, a bang, that doesn't mean not. That means only. So we're going to grep only a file that has 1 character in it, and that character has to be a 2. sorry, we're looking at the contents. Show me the contents of file.2 and only show me the instances of the number 2 in there. So they all turned up here in red. Okay. That's a pretty simple thing. This is a very common way to use grep, but I'm going to show you a twist on that in a second. We're going to use the up arrow, and it's going to, and we're going to use it both inside and outside of brackets. When we put it inside of brackets, it means not. So grep shows you the lines of a file that meet your search criteria. Only search criteria, not search criteria, whatever. So let's try an ls, a not 3. I want you to show me the contents of a file that don't have 3, and the file has to be a text file. Okay, so that's kind of like what we did earlier when we did square brackets with not and the ls, but this is slightly different because now I'm going to do the same command. And I'm going to say I want you to grep file.text and don't show me, well, I'm going to show you the results here and then we can do this. Not ls, grep. So this says I'm going to show you everything that I found except the stuff you told me. I'm going to highlight everything that I found except the stuff you told me not to. So I'm not going to highlight any instances of 2, but every other thing I found with grep. And I know this seems kind of esoteric. This is one of those things that you're not going to do every day, but every now and again you're going to run across a need to do something like this, and the tools are there to accomplish that. All right, let's take a look again at a file with no highlighting. You're not a distraction in the slightest. I got the back channel set up there just so I can see it. So let's look again at the entire contents of file.text. Okay, 4 numbers, 1810, 1901, 2012, 2020. By the way, 2012 was released this week. In what, 84, before that, 81, something like that. 2112. Never mind. All right, so I want to find all of the lines that end with 0. And let's see, I did that, grep. Okay. When you use a $sign with grep search characters, that means ends with. So how about grep ends with 0. Show me all the lines, highlight all of the lines. There's my ends with. So it's $0. And then what file do I want them to do this for me, please? File.text. So looking at my output above, do you see which 2 lines end with 0? Let's see if it comes up with that. Bingo. Only shows me the 2 lines that end with 0, and it highlights the zeros. All right, last thing. Yeah, I'm going to do, yeah, this will finish it up. We're going to use curly braces again, and instead of using single characters in there, we're going to do multiple lists. This one's really kind of cool. I'm going to just do it, and then we'll see what comes up and explain it. So we're going to ls, couple of mustaches, star.text. Find me all of the txt files and all of the PHP files. I don't care what they start with, they have to end in .txt and .php. And there's no limit. I also want to see the, I don't know, LPF files, star.lpf. You get the idea. But we'll just finish it off with that. So I've got PHP files in here, I've got text files, I've got some other kinds of files in here, I got SH files in here. I could have 50,000 files in here. I could have 500,000 files in here, depending on the file system that I'm using, if they're supported. And with this command, just get down to these handful of files. And so we can glob these things together. I can use square brackets. I can embed brackets within brackets, and it all goes way beyond what we're doing here. But all of this is globbing. It's just ways of saying, I don't want to see all the files in here. I need a specific subset of them. Maybe I'll direct their output to another file. Maybe I just need to see them so I'll know what their names are. Whatever the case may be. All right, let's go back to head. I will see if I can solve that problem for Ubuntu and Ubuntu related things. Works great on a Raspberry Pi. I have done this on my Linux system, on other Linux systems in here, my Ubuntu's. So I don't know why it choked this time, but these things happen. Always the danger of live television. And when I'm done, if I want to dump out, I'll go back up one level. Now you got to be really careful with the next command. I want to wipe out all of that stuff. CP glob. I want to save that sh file. star.sh. Okay. Okay, there it is. What? I made all of these here. Oh, no, okay, there we go. Everything is good. So if I want to get rid of that folder that I was working with, I go one level above it so that I can see it. It's up here, glob. And I'm going to get rid of it with remove. Since it has contents, I have to say -rf. And then never say dot and never do this from the root. Just the name of the folder you want to wipe out. And all of this subcontents. And because if this is the root, it's not going to say, are you sure? He's going to wipe out everything. But that glob folder is now gone. I've still got my sh file in here, my glob files sh. So, I know, you couldn't see that. That's all right. Hey, well, let's see what you guys had to say during all of that. I saw lots of conversation going on, and then we will wind things up. Yeah, I know, I'm way long, but I had stuff to do. I grok that grep. I love grok. All right, tweak windows, glob, glob. Awesome, we're happening. Sweet. So case is totally a thing when you're doing Linux. Exactly right. So sometimes we had lowercase file, sometimes we had uppercase file and page and the extensions, and you got a mixed case, and they're all totally different. Hey, I had a news article about that. I caught a show last week. The guy who developed SMB was is now an employee over at Rocky CIQ. He's a senior developer there. But they brought him on for an hour to talk about SMB. He's still a maintainer there and a participant, but he stepped down as the benevolent dictator. But somebody asked him, what's on the roadmap? And he said, well, he gave us a website. You can always go see this for yourself. And he listed off a handful of things. And the one that made my ears perk up is they intend to provide case sensitivity to files stored on SMB drives. Made my heart go pitter-patter. Are you kidding me? You can use Windows Search with grep in PowerShell, but not in command line. And of course in WSL. LS star. Alright guys, that's it. A little jumbly. Sorry, I had some tech problems before the show and that sort of dragged me out of my favorite realm, but we're there. The world's a happy place. Let's go find the end of this thing. Next week, be back from someplace, hopefully watching an eclipse, but I haven't picked a topic. I have a topic in mind, but I don't love it. Yeah, so we'll see. The week after that, we guest from Rocky CIQ, Greg Sewell, another senior developer who has his fingers in so many pies in addition to the operating system, Ascender and Werewolf and Aptainer and. I was talking to him the other day. He said, there's only one product that I don't mess with, and it's basically a time thing on his part. So, How do you close this thing? Oh yeah, you have to go and read a departure. So, thanks for staying with me a little bit late. I wish you a great rest of the week. Take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy, and if at all possible, call or visit your parents. And of course, never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. And with that, good night. I'll see you on ADRAMADA next Thursday and on the other platforms I'm on. Until then, remember, how you do anything is in fact how you do everything. Later.